What are stakeholders in construction? How do you win on projects? By making friends along the way, and typically those friends need to be your project stakeholders. So to learn how, stay with us on this video. Okay, so a stakeholder in construction is an individual, group, or entity that has an interest or concern in the construction project. Stakeholders can influence the project or be influenced by the project's outcomes. And typically, a stakeholder's involvement is crucial to the project's success. That's probably my favorite part of that definition. And so they may include owners, contractors, architects and designers, engineers, regulatory authorities, financiers and investors, end users, and the local community. So what I want to do as a part of this video is really go through each of these one by one and make sure that we understand it because the human element of connection, collaboration, and partnering is huge when it comes to stakeholders, and I want you to have the tools that you can use to really win people over as you go through this project, and that you have advocates as you go. Now, I do want to say one thing before we get going. In the book, How Big Things Get Done, which is a wonderful book that talks about why projects either succeed or fail, one of the largest recommendations that they have is to make friends along the way. You need these stakeholders, you need these partners, and you need these friends. I remember a story of a project that went wildly wrong just because one project manager was rude to and really pissed off one of the inspectors. And that inspector gave them hell the rest of that entire project, to the point that project had to be written down by millions of dollars, and it was well past schedule by over a year, just from one relationship. So if you're thinking, I don't need to know what stakeholders are, Jason, and I don't need to know how to manage my relationship with them, be careful, because that is one of the largest determining factors of a project that is successful versus a project that fails. Let's go through the stakeholders one by one, and then I'll give you some advice on how you can partner with them. Number one, owners. Owners hold the primary interest for the project's success, and they provide the resources and the funds for construction. And so one of the things that I want to say is, a really wise project executive and then later business unit leader once said, it's the project manager's job to read the owner's mind. And I really like that, because it's on the PM to manage that relationship and make sure that we're partnering and that we're close and connected, because a good and a happy owner that's partnering with you is priceless. Number two, contractors. They're obviously responsible for executing the activities on the construction site. This includes the general contractor and the subcontractors. Number three, architects and designers. They design the project and create the contract documents, and they ensure that the design is implemented and influenced throughout construction. Number four, the engineers. They provide specialized expertise for engineering disciplines like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, or structural, and they contribute to the technical aspects of the project. Number five, the regulatory authorities. This is a big one. These are the folks that enforce the building codes, zoning regulations, and other legal requirements. They also approve permits and ensure compliance with the contract documents. Now, this is probably one of the biggest ones. You will need at least one designee, if it's not you as the project superintendent, and a really focused effort and an intentional method to really win these people over. I'm not talking about bribery. I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about know what they want and deliver that, because a pissed off inspector can make your life hell. Financiers and investors. These are the people that will provide financial support for the project. It may include banks, investment firms, and other entities. But here's the key. A lot of times, especially if you're selling bonds or if you're advertising progress to investors, you'll really want to make sure that you're taking care of that outward facing aspect of the project, like the marketing, the appearance of the project, and make sure that investors feel proud of the way you're delivering that project. 7, end users. This is huge. These are the people who will eventually occupy or maintain the construction facility. They have specific requirements and expectations for the finished project. Now, this one is huge, and I remember an effort called room kitting that we used in hospitals and in laboratories. And this was the effort. We would literally take from the Revit model every single wall, and we would create a two-dimensional lift drawing for it, and every device, every fixture, anything that went into that wall, backing and the location of anything inside the finished component of that room was put on that lift drawing. And we would dimension it, ask any RFIs, do any coordination, and we would create a drawing package for each floor. This would then be sent to the lab consultant and to the end users. And we vetted any of the modifications that they wanted before we built it. This was huge. Did it take a lot of time? Yes. Was it additional work? Yes. But we didn't have any drywall gremlins. That's what I call it. The end users come in the building, they walk the building. I want that moved over there, that moved over there. Even if you do mock-ups and even if you do walkthroughs ahead of time, you'll still have changes that are requested. And in a $100 million laboratory that I was the project superintendent over, we only had one drywall gremlin in the basement because of a change. Everything else was installed as is. We coordinated the lab equipment, the location of everything on the interiors, and all of the MEP systems, including the valves and the overhead, based on where the end users wanted it. You will make a lot of friends and win the next project, or have a higher chance of winning the next project, if you really take care of those end users. And 8, this is huge, the local community. These are the residents and the businesses local in the vicinity of your project, and they may be impacted by your project. And so it's the perfect time right now to talk about tips and tricks. The tips and tricks to managing all of these stakeholders is to treat them like customers, right? Just like I treat you like a customer on this video. Like, I really want to deliver something that's of value to you so that you'll like and subscribe, that you'll stay with me, that we can share more content on this channel. You'll do the same thing with everyone, even your vendors and your subcontractors. Everyone on the project you'll treat like customers. You'll try and see it from their perspective. You'll care about what they care about, and you'll loop those considerations into your project planning. So here are the 5 tips and tricks I want to leave you with. Number 1, treat all stakeholders like customers. Number 2, always perform a stakeholder kickoff. I really enjoyed the kickoffs that I used to do as a superintendent. Well, actually, it wasn't that I used to do, but I was a part of. It was a part of the company systems. We called it the pre-flight kickoff. We would do a 1 or 2 day meeting where we set expectations, we aligned on goals, we really started to partner together, created the systems for partnering, and really got aligned on the objectives and the vision of the project. This is huge. It pulls in stakeholders, their interests, and it allows them to become a part of the project and an advocate. Number 3, communicate throughout. I love this. Not only would this happen in OAC meetings or monthly or quarterly updates on an actual meeting, but also newsletters that were custom designed to provide an update for what was happening on the project itself, that would go out to the stakeholders so they felt like they knew what was going on and they knew what was coming up. So our newsletters had an update, really cool fun facts. Like, I remember one time we said, hey, there's enough concrete in the building to pave a 3-foot wide sidewalk from Tucson to Phoenix, right? Like, fun facts like that. We would talk about the next week's activities, possible impacts, really cool shout outs, fun things that people could be proud of. Really beautiful newsletter. As you communicate, you can really win over hearts and minds as you go. Number 4, celebrate wins with the entire group. Topping out ceremonies are great, right? The groundbreaking ceremony, right? Celebrating different things that were accomplished, celebrations during holidays, worker celebrations, the closeout celebrations. Make sure that you're involving all stakeholders as a part of those wins. And 5, connect throughout. If you know that the facilities management group or the inspectors or that marketing or public relations needs to know something, always reach out to them and make sure that you're connecting throughout. And if you follow these tips and tricks, you will win friends as you go, and you'll need those friends, you'll need those advocates as you finish that building, because we can't do it by ourselves. And so I'm going to link you in the description below to a blog post with this list so that you can form your own strategy and make sure that you have a proper plan to acknowledge and win over your stakeholders as you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.